Hello, guys. Um, this is your instructor. Actually, many of you guys just asked about the homework too, so I'm just quickly going over some of the main stuff that you guys might have. So let me share my screen. So this was your homework. So the point of this is a conditional probability. So section 2 is about it. For example, usually the conditional probability was if something happens, what is the, I mean, so conditioning on something, what is the probability of something? Or suppose that happens, okay, suppose you're a man and conditioning on your man, what is the probability that you're getting hired? Or that kind of thing was like a conditional probability, right? So this is the same. So when you read this, what you're gonna realize is, okay, if the average late next year is lower than 2%, so that is like a conditional statement. So if interest rate next year is lower than 2%, okay, so then that is equivalent to saying conditioning on the interest rate next year is lower than 2%. The probability of significant earning growth is like 8. So this one, you can write this on something like as, okay, this is, let's say just significant, I'm gonna say X is just significant earnings, and I'm gonna say S is average rate less than 2%. This is just, I'm using, actually this is, let's say for notational companion, I'm just gonna name it like that. And for next one, interest rate between 2%, 2.5. I mean, since I don't want to write this every time, so I'm just gonna say median, and as average. Did I say late? Okay. Average rate less than 2.5%, but it's gonna be greater than 2%. So I'm gonna just set a notation, and high is of course the interest rate or rate greater than, or I'm gonna put this way, like a 2.5%. So for notation convenience, I'm gonna just write that. So let's try to interpret this one. First thing is, if the average rate next year is lower than 2%, that is conditioning on the interest rate. So that is, you can write this as a probability of something given conditioning on the average rate next year lower than 2%. That is L, right? So probability of something given L equal, I say 80%. So you can either write 80% or 0.8, either is fine. But I'm saying probability of a significant earning, so I'm gonna write this as like that. So probability of you're making significant earning, conditioning on interest rate is low. So this is a conditional probability is 80% or 8.8. So the formula for okay, and I'm gonna talk about that in a bit. So next thing is, excuse me, if the average interest rate next year is between that, so that is another conditional probability. I'm gonna say, okay, probability of something given average rate interest is 2% and 2.5%, that was n. I'm gonna just write this as 0.5 or 50% or 0.5. Again, it's average fine. Well, I'm saying the probability of a significant earning, given you are getting average rate of m or between this, would be like that. So this is how you can extract information from here. This is most crucial. If you understand this, everything else is a piece of cake. But I admit that the language is a little bit tricky, but I emphasize a lot in the lecture too that actually whenever I say if a statement or suppose statement, that is conditional probability. So I actually emphasize like 5 times or something. So if you actually listen to the lecture, you're probably not gonna have the problem, or maybe you just miss it because I spoke maybe too fast. The later part is the analyst estimate that probability is 2.25 or 25%. So okay, 0.25 is a probability, but what? Probability of what? The next year, the late next year will be greater than 2.5. In other words, this is probability of H, right? No conditional statement. This is a marginal probability equal 25 or 25%, right? So this is how you can extract. And then I said 0.15 for the rate greater than 2 point, no, actually this was that. And okay, 15% or 0.15 was what? Was equal probability that it will be lower than 2%. So A. So this is boom, what you need. For number A, given, okay, actually, let's go over the conditional probability. So what we have learned is the probability of A given B was what? This is from textbook. This is the probability of A, so intersection. I'm going to say intersection. So, and B over probability of B, right? This is actually we went over a lot during the lecture. So, so given this information, okay, this is the formula. What you can extract from the top one is, okay, if I write down this again, I'm gonna write down this one as, okay, probability of S given S equal what? This probability of S intersection A over probability of A, right? I can write something like that, right? So what we know is, oh, we know probability of A. Oh, we know probability of S given A. So the question is, what is the probability of S intersection A? That is basically probability of you making significant earning at the same time interest rate is low. So in other words, if you're actually looking at the part B, I'm asking what is the estimated probability that the average interest rate will be greater than 2.5 and significant earnings. So for the second question, you can learn something like that. Okay, probability that your interest rate is, you are making significant earning and N, or this is, and is like an intersection. So I can either say and or intersection. Those are exactly same words. But since in the slide, I'm using a lot of intersection, this is the notation would look like that. If you want to see the notation, it's like that. So this is a probability of A intersection B. So this was what I meant. But you can write this as a probability of A and B. Those are exactly same wording. So what I'm trying to say over here is probability that Sn and earning interest rate greater than 2.5. So this is what I'm looking for, right? So this is joint probability I'm looking for. So first thing is first, and then the second thing is, okay. So before you even solve the question, this is something you can set up the question. And for the record, the other, this is one of the hardest exercise you're gonna see, because the reason is conditional probability is in general very hard concept. So that's why you might feel this is hard and overhand, but do not worry about this, okay? And if you have any question, just let me know. And first part, we know probability of H is 25% and probability at equal 15%. Given this information, you know summation of probability is always 100%. So that means the probability of M equal what? Equal 1 minus probability of H minus probability of S, which is basically 60% or 0.6. So this is something you can get. So what I'm trying to do over here, okay, let me show you some trick how to fill the table that makes easier. So let me switch my camera to the board. So what I'm trying to do is, we know we can draw something like that. So it doesn't matter the order, but I'm gonna say this is like a low, or let's say just low, medium, high, and this was like a significant earning, and this is not significant earning. Again, we learned this complement, this notation, and this is notation-wise. This is basically probability of S intersection. This was intersection A, and this was a probability of S intersection N, and this is a probability of S intersection H. So what you can get is, okay, I know this one, this dude, I can get it from because I know that so probability of, for example, I know from the conditional probability, the probability of S given L was 0.8, but which was equal basically probability of S intersection L over probability of L, right? But I know probability of L was 15.15, and I know this is 0.8. So in other words, this dude over here, probability of S intersection L equal multiplying of this, right? Because we say 0.8 equals something over 0.15. So if you multiply 0.15 both sides, this would be just 0.8 times 0.15, right? So this is something like a 0.112. So is it right? Yeah. So in other words, this dude over here is 0.12. So similarly, oh sorry, if you were not able to see because of the light, please bear with me. Maybe it's time you can write it. I'm gonna just put it back. Okay, so this one, same thing. I mean, I said the probability of S given M was 0.5. This was from problem set. Is the probability of, so this is a conditional probability formula. If you're not familiar, just make sure you're going back to our lecture. I know we have like a class of like a 70 students, but I think the only 12 people watched the video so far. So, so something maybe you can watch over weekend. Probability of M. So we know probability of M, which is like a 0.6, right? This is a 0.6. And this was a 0.5. So if you multiply, it's going to be like a 0.3 or 30%. And what we actually know is from here, another trick actually you want to explore is, okay, so we have all the information. So we know this is a marginal probability. So this is a probability of S. So this is a marginal probability. Inside of that is joint probability, right? So we actually went over a lot in the first lecture. So if you are confused, please go there. And this is probability of H. So probability of L was what? 15%, 0.15. The probability of M was what? I said 0.6. Naturally, this is 0.25. So given this information, what we actually know is that, so this is a 0.12, this is a 0.15. So summation of this joint probability would be 0.15. I mean, for this specific example, we didn't consider this, but something you should keep in mind, because in other questions I might ask, but this problem set I didn't ask any of this, but still you should be able to fill out. So in actually lecture slide 2, lecture video, I explained very detailed some examples of, we have a very minor example, but I was able to recover everything. So around at the end of the lecture 2, I explained very detailed. So make sure you guys look at that part again. So this is 0.03. So that was the probability of S complement intersection S, because even if I don't have information, the summation of this is 0.15, so I was able to fit it. Similarly, this was 0.3. And something you should remember is summation of everything equal 1. So same thing, that's got to be. So the tricky part is this, the remaining part. So if we actually go back the problem, so let me share the screen again. So actually, one thing I forgot to mention was the top one. So she believes that if the interest rate in the next year is greater than 2.5%, so this is, in other words, probability of a significant earning given interest rate high is 0.1. So this is just something I forgot to mention earlier. So coming back to our problem set, so probability of S given H was basically 0.1, but this was probability of S intersection H over probability of H. So, but we know probability of H was what? Over here, 0.25. So this denominator equals 0.25, and this the ratio would be 0.1. So in other words, 0.1 equals 0.25, because 0.1 equals this joint probability over 0.25. In other words, this joint probability is 0.025. So this is something you can actually do this. So given that, I know this joint probability, I know this one, I know this one. If you summate everything, that is a probability of S. So which is a 0.12 plus 0.3 plus 0.025. So if we just summate that, it's going to be 0.445. So that is, so the summation of these two equal 1. So naturally, I know this is 0.555. Or, and given that, you can also fill this number as well, or you can using this number, it's going to be 0.225, something like that. So basically, we fill everything. So coming back to the question, if you read part B is I'm asking, seems like I just gave you all the answers already. I mean, but okay. For example, this is just something we are looking for. Joint probability of S and S intersection H, which was on the board. You can fill this one. And this is what is the estimated probability that average interest rate will be no lower than 2%. So that that is actually so that is 1 minus probability. So this is basically equals something like that, right? This is probability of significant earning given. I mean, but this, I know it's not conditional probability, but interest rate is no lower than. So in other words, interest is greater than, that is including 2% and 2.5% or the higher. So basically, I'm having S intersection low. I mean, actually median plus probability of S intersection high, something like that. I mean, I already showed the answers, but you should be able to do something like that. Yeah, this is a probability of S, right? You are looking for. I already showed that. And the other things I just remain it here. So if you think a little bit, everything I just gave, think of the most important part was this knowing this conditional probability. But as you know, this one is pretty easy. But I know the wording might be tough, so this might be the first type of question you might face. So you might feel a little hard, but as you study a little bit, this might be one of the easiest. I mean, it will become very easy when you digest enough. So please spend some time on this, and if you guys have any question, always reach out to me. Okay, but yeah, I mean, I think I gave all the answers, but yeah. Okay, good luck with this. Bye.